What's up, Jason?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Super excited to have you on the podcast today, man. Like we were just talking about, I met you about 3 years ago. And ever since then, I've watched you like accelerate and elevate your life to a whole new level. And it's been actually really impressive to watch, if I have to be honest. And, I've seen you, you're winning in business. You're winning as a husband. You're winning as a father. You're winning in your health. You're winning in your finances and creating wealth and helping other people, giving and growing. And so, I just love this because it's called the journey to win. I see so many people on social media where they're winning. There's a lot of facade that goes up there where some people are just winning in one pillar,
Right.
but man, you're winning in all pillars. And so I'm super excited to have you on today. I'm going to be asking a lot of questions that really I just want to know. So I'm sure that the people who are watching this is going to get massive value today. So thanks for being on.
I appreciate it, man. It's a complete honor. To be honest, dude, I'll never forget the first time we met at that Starbucks down in Salt Lake City. And we've been, I've been a fan of yours as well. I mean, you've been crushing it. We were in the same space at that time and you guys were just on fire. So it was cool to meet you, right time to meet you, I felt like, and, really excited and a complete honor to be on this podcast and that you reached out to me. So it means a lot. Yeah.
Awesome, man. And, so let's get into it, man, and we'll dive a little bit deeper, but you're the CEO of Haugen, RV Group. You've expanded to 9 locations. You guys did $111 million last year. You said 103 million before that, 60 million before that. And you're coaching culture to high level executives, to entrepreneurs. So, I mean, obviously you're crushing it and you get to talk to a lot of people and help them, take their lives from where they are to where they want to go. What is winning to you?
Gosh, that's a good question. I guess winning to me, I guess you can different aspects. Like winning in business is obviously creating a strong company. It's going to be here forever, legacy company that we have the right culture. We're doing things for the right things. We're all on the same page with our team members, our family, what we call them. And we're just winning every single day and just, win the day. Like, I know, Ed Mylett always says that is win the day. And, I ask people that all the time. Did you win today? Did you win today? Did you win today? And, that can mean they accomplished their objectives. They accomplished their to-do list. They sold some units. They just won the day. And that's what we want to create is a winning culture. And, I go a lot into culture and it's very important to me because I think it's everything in a company. And so, winning is just, you could almost say it's being fulfilled. For me personally, it's watching people succeed. I mean, that's winning to me, is watching people change their lives or watching people, smile when they're just buying a trailer from us, having a good time. Like that's winning to me. I mean, when we're serving our customers and serving our team members, our family, that's winning to me.
So that's awesome. So, okay. Winning for you in business. Now, what is winning for you in life, right? Like, what does it mean for you to say, hey man, look back, you're 70 years old. You're like, dude, I won big.
I'll be the best husband and father I could be, and knowing, where my daughter wants to be like, or like is proud of me, where my wife is proud of me, where we can look back on our lives and say, look what we did. We left a legacy. We did good. We helped people. We did everything we could in our power to be the best stewards of money, to be the best stewards of people, be the best stewards of time, be the best stewards of just us, and know that, hey, we left it all out there and we won. I mean, whether that's, a big bank account, that doesn't really matter. Just where we feel fulfilled and we know that we won. But really, I look at my daughter and I just want her to be proud of me, and I want her to, her succeeding in life would be a huge win for me.
Well, I'm sure she's going to, man. I mean, you're a great example, and watching you on social media, especially, I can tell that you're not one of those guys that's just worried about money. You're not just focused on money. I mean, you're focused on having time and money and enjoying the freedoms of what that brings. Because I see you with your daughter, I see you with your wife, I see you like doing these awesome things, and yeah, you have your private jet, which is amazing, right?
For sure.
But you also use that for like things for family, to where you can take them and. I think I heard a story from you one time where you were saying that like you grew up and your parents actually showed you kind of that lifestyle of being able to just all of a sudden go to California and have lunch,
Right.
and then be back into Utah by dinner or something. Like, tell me about that. What was it like doing that? Because I think, to me, you can win in business, but if you're a failure as a father, your kids don't like you, or you have a terrible marriage, or your spirituality is broken, then you're not winning.
Right.
And so my point is you're winning because you're out there, you're having time and money, you're enjoying life, you're building business, you're building people, but you're also building your family and your legacy.
Yeah. I mean, family means everything to me. Growing up, we had a interesting childhood. My mom and dad were big network marketers. They were on the road about 300 days a year. They were crushing it. One of the largest groups in network marketing in the history. At the time, at least, I mean, I think there was over 1 million people in their group. And that's a big team, across 30, I think they were in 32 countries. And I mean, they were just all over the place. And so that was fun. I mean, my mom and dad created a life for us that was incredible, but the biggest thing for them is that it was their life, right? They definitely told us that, hey, like, we're rich, you're broke. Our stuff is ours, yours is yours. We fly on our jet, you fly commercial. Sometimes we would be able to opportunity to fly on that plane, but oftentimes, most of the time we'd fly commercial. And they taught us to work hard, and it was really cool to watch my mom and dad hustle like that. I mean, it's so ingrained in me to work for everything that you have that I could never imagine doing anything different. And so I'm glad that they taught us that. And it's just I had the craziest childhood I could ever dream of. Some say good, some say bad. I mean, there's also a lot of things. My mom and dad being on the road 300 days plus a year, for basically my whole life, like 25 years, my whole childhood and junior high and high school, they were on the road. And so there's also, I wouldn't say issues, but just, things that come up with that. But we knew mom and dad were out there hustling. And the cool thing about it is we got to watch them do it together, which is just amazing. I mean, that's kind of rare air, right? Like, most people just kind of do things on their own, or it's really, heavily one-sided, and sometimes the wife or sometimes even the husband just kind of there to hang out. But my mom was right there with my dad. My dad was right there with my mom. And I mean, that I watched the most amazing marriage and most amazing life and they could ever have. And so, like, growing up like that, I'm very grateful that we were around money, because it almost has made me, I don't want to sound bad, but like, it's almost made me like numb to things. Like, I really don't get excited when someone talks about like a car or, a plane or watches or this or that, because I lived through that. I was with that my entire life. And so, like, when I'm doing my thing now, it's like, yeah, like, money's great, but like, there's so much more to life than that. And, I've had a nice car, I've had nice things. And like, I feel like my whole life is, going to be made when I get that thing. But, it's not, how the fulfillment for my life has come from helping people.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love that. So, I mean, obviously, I was a Navy SEAL, so being going 300 days out of the year is not abnormal for us. And, I've seen it. I've seen sometimes, I didn't have kids, but I saw sometimes where, our guys would be gone and come back and their kids are completely different. They're
right.
They've grown, they've developed. And so, I'm sure that is tough, and it's just tough in a different arena. Right. And so, but the cool thing is that they still helped mentor you, to teach you the values and not just give you everything. And I think that that's probably one reason why, you're winning at the level that you're winning at right now, is because your parents did help instill that at a young age. I don't know. What do you think? Maybe?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I got the opportunity to have my mom and dad as one at the time. I mean, they were some of the largest public speakers my mom and dad held a business meeting at the Georgia Dome and sold it out for 3 days in a row with 97,000 people. Like, that doesn't happen. I still think it's the largest business meeting ever held to date. I mean, I don't know if anybody's ever gone bigger than that. And if someone's out there, please let me know. But, they were rubbing shoulders with some of the largest people in the world. And the kind of funny part about it is the largest people in the world, as far as like your authors, your public speakers, your motivational speakers, all these guys. I mean, they were wanting to rub shoulders with my mom and dad. I mean, and that was really cool being in that realm. And every dinner table was a seminar. I mean, everything that ever happened was a lesson, and it meant at the time I didn't realize, like, it was kind of just annoying that every time we sat down it'd be a life lesson, or hey, read this book. I mean, I'm pretty sure if there was a book for 7 Habits of Highly Effective Toddlers, we would have read it if it was a picture book. But they just like, I always say, like, they never gave us a lot of money. I mean, they did provide for us, but like they never really did that. Like, we bought our own vehicles, we bought our own insurance, we bought our own phones, we bought our own gas. Like, Remi turned 16 and it was like, hey, it's all on you. But what they did give us is a lot of knowledge, and they gave us books, and they gave us, like back in the day, it was tapes or CDs or audios. And they let us come to these conferences, and we listened, and, you know, at least I did. I mean, I loved that. Like, I would just watch my mom and dad in front of, I remember like, introducing them at it was back then it's a Delta Center. I guess now it's going to be the Delta Center again, but it's where the Jazz play. There's about 18,000 people there, including everybody on the floor, I think, or 7, whatever it was. I introduced them. I remember 17,000 people going crazy, over my mom and dad. I mean, that was just, it was so cool to watch. And I was little. I was like probably in elementary, junior high. I mean, it was cool. All us 4 kids would introduce them quite a bit, and getting just the power of a stadium like that with 18,000 people just getting up on their feet, just screaming. I mean, it was really cool. But the coolest thing about it is just the impact that they were making on their lives to just help, you know, all those thousands of people better their lives. I mean, that was my mom and dad's mission, and they're more known for that than any money they've ever made. I mean, and you would never know that they had any money or have any money. I mean, they look like a regular family. My dad always says, I want to be the richest person no one's ever heard of. And so he just kind of retired and just kind of disappeared. But it's just, he's always been like my rock. And if I need anything, or my mom too, I mean, they're just 2 amazing people.
That's awesome, man. So, and you say that, which is really cool, because I have some friends and mentors of mine who are they own $1 billion companies. You know, some of them are billionaires, some of them are almost billionaires, and nobody knows them. Like, I could bring them on this podcast, and you could put them on social media, and nobody would really know who they are, but the value that they bring is just absolutely incredible. But you know how it is, like Grant Cardone talks about, sometimes best known beats best, you know, skills, right, all day long. And, you know, it only beats in the marketing world is what I'm saying. It's not, obviously not in the business world and anything like that, but that's really cool, man. So, you know, the one thing I love about network marketing, because that's where your parents made the majority of their success early on in their life, right?
Yeah.
I think it's a personal development program with a compensation plan attached to it. And you guys, I'm assuming, they had you guys go into all the events and listen to the speakers. Like, what was that like growing up?
Oh, it was amazing. And you're totally right. Like, I one time I was sitting with my dad, we were actually sitting in Lake Powell, and we were talking, and it was actually when my dad used to run these promo events. You know, he used to run promo events down in Lake Powell all the time. And he was like, he's like, I guess I just never really understood like what the power of like what I was doing back in the day. But he was like, I had over 500 people in my downline making hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars a year. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah, I mean, we would come basically sell out Lake Powell, and all those people would be on houseboats, and they'd all be lined up on the beach. And it was awesome being able to be a part of that. I mean, I was a little bit young, honestly, when they were in their prime, I should say. And so it's kind of hard for me to understand at the time. But it definitely affected me in an awesome way. And you're totally right. Like, it's self-development with a compensation plan attached to it. And that's like, that was, I mean, I know it's kind of changing and morphing a little bit, but I know that, you know, that was what network marketing was it was a self-development with a compensation plan attached to it. And, you know, that's what the conferences are for. That's where, you know, all the speakers come in. That's where, you know, all the trainings and the system, what you call the system comes in. And it was awesome being a part of that, to be able to learn and to grow the foundation. I mean, there's so many people I could name off right now with that you would, you know, that are either billionaires or a lot of businesses that you would know, especially in the state of Utah, but especially around the country, that kind of grew in my mom and dad's system. You know, they were in their downline and they grew in their system. And it's amazing to watch that. And if you talk to them, they're like, man, Jason, I'm meeting him now. Like, I'm rubbing shoulders with a lot of these high level people, and they find out that who my dad is. And they're like, oh my gosh, like I'm here because of your dad. I'm here because of your mom. And they run out. Like I'll never forget. I was at an event and a guy ran out to his car and he had burned a CD, believe it or not, of one of my mom and dad's tapes back in the day. And he's like, I listen to this every single day. And it was just, I was like, wow, like, talk about impact. I mean, that's a huge deal. And then I look at it now, and I think, how I am now and why I am now is due to a lot of those conferences and sitting in those seminars and sitting in, the car with my mom and dad, listening to the tapes, the CDs that they used to listen to, the audios. And now you can get in the form of podcasts in many other ways, but it's basically shaped me into who I am now. And I'm so eternally grateful for that. I mean, I don't think there's anything better that you could do for your kids, to get them ingrained into that at the beginning, at the early stage of their life. Like I thought so differently than everybody in my high school. I thought so differently than everybody I knew. And I'm grateful for that. I mean, because, I'm not going to say, look at me, like, look where I'm at, but I definitely think it's played a huge part of where I am right now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they say the subconscious mind is developed between 3 and 7 years old. So even though you are young, like Jim Rohn says, success isn't something you get chased, it's something you attract by the person you become in the process. And, like be, do, have, you have to become the person, and then you repetitively beat the skills into to learn the skills, and then you can have whatever it is you're looking to have. And, I think that when you're going to those conferences, it's putting together, kind of laying that solid foundation for you. And that's why I tell everybody, man, some companies, like, they don't allow kids. And when I first got started in this business, we didn't allow kids at our events just because it was just hard to control and kids would be loud. Now we allow kids because the mission is bigger for me,
right?
Because I'm still in a company. The mission is bigger for me to be able to have these stories later on, to where it's like, dude, I want these kids to come and grow and develop and learn and have that solid foundation, so that when they're in high school, they are different. Because if they're just programmed like the normal high school student, they're going to get normal results in life. And look at what normal gets them.
Right.
4 out of 10 people don't have $400 in their bank account. 7 out of 10 don't have 1,000. 78% of the population is living paycheck to paycheck. And it's because a lot of people didn't do anything necessarily wrong. They just did what society told them to do and what was normal. Right. And so that kind of, brings me to the next question is, you got started on your journey before you were doing the $100 million plus per year in the RV space. You got started on your journey, and we'll get to that, but you got started on your journey in network marketing. Like, that's how you kind of, after high school, did you go to college, or did you go straight into network marketing?
I went to one semester of college, and during that semester, my dad was kind of knew some people that were starting a company, and he had retired, kind of got out of everything. He actually got terminated by his company in 2008, and due to just some dramatic stuff. You can honestly read all about it on Google if you just Google my dad's name. But yeah, I mean, I started in 2013, I think, like February or something like that, or March. 2013 is when I started and got in the industry. I was in school. I didn't quite make it to the fall semester right after I graduated high school. I went to the spring semester of college and only went to one semester.
So how'd you get started in network marketing? What was that process like? Like, who introduced you? What was your story for that?
So it was my brother. I mean, my brother was my upline, and what we did is we wanted to be like mom and dad. I mean, we wanted the life that they had, we wanted the freedom that they had, that we wanted the plane they had. I mean, we wanted everything that mom and dad had. So what did we go do? We did what mom and dad did, and that was no question. I mean, ever since we were little, we were like, hey, we're just gonna do what mom and dad did. We knew we were gonna be business owners. We knew that something was gonna come from it. And my dad had owned he owned 30 different companies, outside of network marketing, and so it was entrepreneur business family. And that's what we wanted to do. But my dad was always like, hey, look, the greatest way to do this is you get a lot of mentorship, self-development. You'll learn everything you possibly can, and you make money at the same time. You learn sales. You learn how to deal with people. I mean, network marketing is the greatest thing for that. And so he's like, I'm not going to say you need to, but it's a great opportunity. It's a great business model. And so we went and joined a network marketing company. My brother was my upline, and we blew it up. I mean, we exploded it that summer of 2013. I did not go back to college just because I was so busy. I was speaking on, to conferences and different places, and, going to everything like every weekend and throughout the week. And I was all out, full-fledged blitz on network marketing and growing the team. we were very successful. I mean, I was a top earner in the company. I had the largest group in the company, very short time period. And then, we kept pushing through. I mean, it was so much fun. I mean, we did it a barbaric way, because we really didn't know any better. We were just super young, and like a lot of our group was very young. We ended up figuring out, different avenues to do that, and mixture and different things, and worked with the company to be able to give us some products that were a little more for a younger generation. And just, we ended up just crushing that whole process. I mean, I think about it, right? I haven't thought about it in a while, but man, we had so much fun. I mean, we used to run these big parties at places and have a great time. And I mean, we're still known for that. People run into me all the time. They're like, man, I remember coming to one of your parties, and we'd have hundreds of people there. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of people there. We could get people packed in a room, and not quite sure they knew exactly why they were there. We ended up presenting the opportunity. But we learned a lot, and it was so much fun.
Yeah, that's the old days where you can kind of get people back into a room, and then I get it.
Yeah.
So let me, because I didn't get started until 2015, but you hear people say like, network marketing doesn't work, or like I got started, I didn't have a lot of success. I think there's a lot of answers to why. I mean, when you look at people's work ethic, you look at the consistency factor, but I think one thing that is overlooked is the fact that it's their influence level. Like, sometimes people have to grow. Either you're going to get started in the industry and you're going to have quick success because you've already developed the influence to be able to move people to action, or you're going to have to get in the industry and develop it over time. The cool thing is no matter where you're at, you're going to be able to potentially, as long as you don't quit, as long as you keep working on yourself and, don't do what most people do and is just have a quitter's mentality, then eventually you can get there. Right. And so I'm assuming, got started in the industry, you've already developed that influence because you've been going to conference, because you've done the personal development, because you became the person who could attract the level of success you were looking for. So once the opportunity arose, you were ready for it and it took off. Is that right? Yeah.
I mean, and I was already used to talking to people. I'm not going to say I was the most popular kid in high school, but I was there, I had influence. I had a lot of friends and different things like that, but everybody kind of knew our family history. And so people trusted that, which I'm grateful for. But I think that anybody could, the biggest thing with that is okay, like you have your influence, you have your circle, you have people that know you and your family. But when you go outside of that, like how are you with them? And so I was always really good because I'm a very confident person, and I feel like that helped me a lot. But the biggest thing it taught me is just I can talk to anybody. Like I didn't know who I was talking to quite often, because you're doing the phone calls, you get contacted, you try to set up the meeting, all these different things. I had no clue if the person was completely broke or the person was very wealthy. You just got to have that confidence and have that and honestly keep your dream so big that nothing else can take it away. And just keep rolling through that. And it was crazy, but it helped a lot being able to grow through that system and to be able to take those things that I learned. And it's hard to cause I never really put them down on paper when I was in, junior high school, and very shortly, out of high school, I never really put everything on paper. That when I started to get ingrained in business, I'm like, oh, all this stuff is I'm just speaking it. I'm like, where did that come from? Like, I don't even, and I'm like, oh, I just spent literally 18 years of my life, in basically a seminar every other weekend or every weekend pretty much. And it's shaped my life. And so that's helped a ton. And the great thing about that is, like you said earlier, is you can learn it. Like, it doesn't really matter where you're at in your journey of life. You can, if you can learn, if you want it bad enough, you can learn anything. And I wanted it so bad. I was willing to do whatever it took, and did whatever it took to be able to be successful. I spent a lot of plates. I mean, sometimes you're doing it in the wrong areas and different things, but you just keep learning. And that's the biggest thing, is just like you put it, is just don't quit. I mean, I think it's Jim Rohn in one of his books, or Napoleon Hill says most people quit right before success. And that, I feel like that's a lot true, but then you can define it as success is what? I mean, it means so many different things to so many people. And so it was hard for me to not be so confident, not be so I had that childlike blind faith in the industry and in the company. So I had all the confidence in the world, which I think is very important to have.
I love that, man. You know, the two things that helped me out, Jason, when I first, like, as I started to grow in the industry, because I was a Navy SEAL, like I didn't have any business. I grew up broke, you know, like we were lower middle class, I guess you could say. My mom was a single mom, but she worked her face off to help us get what we wanted. Right. And so she taught me what hard work was all about. And the one thing when I got started in the industry, or two things that really helped me, was I realized that a lot of these people who are successful in business aren't as successful as they say they are because they don't have a money mindset. Because they make a lot of money, they end up spending a lot of money.
Right.
And two examples was the average NBA players living paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
They make a lot of money, they spend a lot of money. You know, look at you know, Allen Iverson, who I grew up like really liking. Like at one time he was struggling big time with money.
Right.
Mike Tyson, like all these top people, right? And then I went to do a business meeting at a coffee shop, and this guy shows up in a Porsche. He has a Rolex on, looking the part, looks sharp, man. I walk, he looks better than I did. And I was like, man, this he's definitely makes more money than I do.
Right.
I don't know if I have the ability to even communicate to this dude because he's probably way more successful than I am. But I went in there, I said, you know what? Whatever. I want to talk to this guy and let's see what can happen and see if he's a good fit.
Right.
And by the way, I wasn't even making six figures in the business at this point. I was still just a knucklehead in the military.
Wow.
And so I sit down with this guy and he's like, man, I love this. I'm all in. I love the concept. I just need to come up with the money. Give me a week. And I said, bro, you just pulled up in a Porsche. You got a Rolex on. He said, that's why I need to come up with the money. So
wow.
That was, for me, was a big shift where I was like, dude, a lot of these guys are just faking it. Like they're making money, but they ain't balling like they say they are.
Right. For sure. No, it's just like Uncle G always says, you can fake a Lambo, but you can't fake a jet. You know, it's hard to, you can only fake it so long. And, you know, people see that. And, you know, it's interesting. There's a lot of people out there that, and like, I feel really bad with people that they think that is like everything in life, which it's right. Like I love nice things. I have a lot of nice things, but where you're willing to sacrifice basically your like everything, you know, to be able to just go buy something, you know, one thing is just kind of crazy to me. But yeah, there are a lot of people out there like that. I meet them all the time. I mean, some people that I think are a lot of people that have blue check mark and a lot of followers are not who they say they are. And, you know, acting like they do a bunch of stuff are not who they say they are. And, you know, a lot of people can make a lot of money one time, but it takes in my eyes, a real person and a strong person to make that money year after year after year after year.
100%, man. And, you know, we have a mutual friend that I won't say his name. He's very successful, like actually the real deal. And I was sitting down with him and he said, you know, a lot of these guys that we're on Instagram together with and have big followers, he goes, they're only literally one bad mistake away from going bankrupt. He goes, so you got to be careful and audit who you're following. And so that's why I suggest everybody follows you, because I know you're the real deal.
That means a lot. So, thank you. Yeah, I'm just me, man. The good thing about it, I've been in a circle with a lot of, you know, successful people. And, you know, I was talking with, you know, like David Meltzer, and I was talking with a bunch of these, like, you know, Alex Hormozy and, you know, all these guys that everybody's like, well, you know, what can I do for you? And I'm like, man, like, I just, you know, unless you want to buy a trailer, I just, you know, friendship, like, how about that? Like, you know, I don't really, and like, that's been a kind of a blessing for me because I just don't view people as like objects, and I don't view people as, oh, well, what can I get from you? Now, if we can mutually help each other, like I love that. Like I get upset when people don't use me. Like I'm like, hey, like, you know that I have a contact for that. You know that I know this person. You know that I know that person. Why don't you use me? So I'm kind of maybe a little bit different because I love connecting. Like I feel like I'm probably, like, this is not like all about, but I am probably one of the most connected people I've ever met. Like as far as you want jewelry, you want cars, you want motorhomes, coaches, trailers, sports people. I mean, NFL, like I feel like I know so many people. But it's because I feel like I care more about the relationship than I do about anything, because I grew up in the money, like, you know, this money comes and goes, but how you are as a person means everything. And that's where I feel like people can, you know, if they lose everything and you based everything off money, say you lost everything, something tragic happened or something happened. If you are relationship based and you're not just so transaction based, I fully believe that you can pull out of it and people will want to help and serve you, pull out of it. But if you made your whole life about money and and kind of not in a great way, and not in dealing with people not in a great way, if you lose everything, I think it'd be really hard to kind of pull it back. I mean, to gain it back, because you kind of ruined all your credibility with people. And so, totally would recommend, figuring out how you can be, a relationship person, if you're out there listening, a relationship person, and based off relationships, and figuring out how you can serve other people. I watched a reel with Alex Hermosi, great guy. And he's like, hey, how about you spend more time figuring out how you can serve me instead of asking me all the time how you can serve me? Because people are like, what can I do for you? What can I do for you? What can I do for you? Well, if you really care that much, imagine just come up to me, or come up to a person and serving them, and not even and kind of surprising them. I think that'd be cool.
That's amazing, man. And I think there's so much value in what you just said, because we're talking about the journey to win. And part of that is the journey to win in relationships,
right?
Which everything, in my opinion, and that's where we see super eye to eye on this, is like, and I teach the team this all the time, is like, you can't just make things transactional. You can't just talk to people about opportunity or money or this or that. Like, go build a relationship with them.
Right.
Have conversation. Like, I'll never forget it. Cole Hatter came in, or I went into town. I was living in Phoenix at the time. He came into town. There was a mastermind, real estate mastermind. And, he was going on a run. And I remember I was like completely out of shape at the time. And he was like in the best shape of his life. I was like, I'm going to go run with him. I'm going to make it happen, because I just want to build a relationship. And why would I do that? I wanted nothing out of him. I just wanted to build a relationship with him, just to have the relationship. Right. And same thing, like when I came back into Utah, I was texting you, like I had no intention on really doing anything other than just connecting with you, maybe buying an RV from you, like doing something where we could just connect. And then I launched, and then I got on a call like probably a month ago, and I was sitting down. This guy's like, why don't you have a podcast? And I was like, you're right. I should launch a podcast. And so I just got up and running, and I started texting everybody saying, hey, I want you on the podcast. I want this person on the podcast. And here we are today. So
love it.
Yeah, relationships are so crucial, man.
For sure.
And people underestimate how important it is to be more focused on developing relationships than trying to prospect people for their business.
Right. And people can look through the BS, right? I mean, people know, there's so many times where I get phone calls of people, and I'm like, man, like, what do you want now? And then they're talking to me, oh, hey, about this. And I'm like, look, like, stop. What do you need? Because I know every time that you call me, you need, like, it just drives me nuts, right? And, and sometimes, like, if you need something from me, the best thing you can do is be like, hey, man, I need something from you. Can I call you? Sure. Like, then the expectation you set that, hey, you need something from me. What's going on? Don't just be like, hey, man, I'd love to connect. It's been a while. And then we start connecting. And then it's like, oh, hey, by the way, I want to sell you, or I want you to come to this. Or I want you to do that. Or, this, like, hey, like, I need you to hook me up with this. And I'm like, okay, well, we just wasted 20 minutes of me thinking that you actually like me, then so I really, really, really always promote to just, be a relationship person, because at the end of the day, that's all we have. Like, we're not going to take, money comes and goes, but it's about the relationships that create, and they take time, and they take work. I mean, you have to cultivate those relationships. There's certain things that I do with certain people with incentive videos and texts and different things to just say hi, making, happy birthdays, even when I see happy anniversary, like different things where it's just like touch points to me. It's kind of depositing that relationship, but it's showing that I care. I hope it, I don't know if it comes off of weird, but I'll never change being me. I mean, if people can say one thing is I feel like I'm, unapologetically me. But I'm so focused on those relationships, because at the end of the day, like that's all I really care about. Like, it sounds so weird. But that's all I care about. I love people. Like, I'm the type of guy that, like, if my wife is going on a girls' night, I either, sometimes I might stay at home and just chill if there's a game on or whatever. But really, if there's a game on, I'm like calling people like, hey, like, let's hang out, let's do this. Like, I love being around people, because it makes me fulfilled. Like, that fills me up, and being around people. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't love just kind of being by myself and being alone. Like, I love, and that's also helped me and forced me to create relationships and create talking to people. Like, I can talk to anybody. There's not a single person in the world that I would not go up to and just start a conversation and start talking to. I mean, I do it all the time. I mean, it's kind of, whether you're in the NFL, NBA, and I see you on the street, I'll just go up and start talking. Like, but I'm not just some random dude, but or anybody, like people next to me on the plane, then I'm not going to bug. I'm just going to, hey, nice to meet you. We're going to be sitting next to each other for 4 hours. So, I'll make a joke. Like if I start stinking, let me know, nudge me, whatever. If I drool on you, let me know. Like, we'll just start joking and have a good time. But I just want to be known. Like that's what I care about. Is I want to be known more as like Jason Haugen and the relationship guy, and just like, a rock or like a guy that we can count on. Then I really care about, oh yeah, he's got a jet or he's got this or he's got that. And like, those are great. Like we've used them as great tools. We've been able to do some really cool things, with the airplane and different things like that. But, if the moment I sense people using me for that, I'm like, yeah, we're kind of cutting ties.
Yeah. But the cool thing is, Jason, is you could be as successful as you are. You could turn into somebody that like I've seen some of my friends even do. They start making money. They get, their ego blows up, and then they start, every time they would see somebody that they feel like might be a little bit below them, they don't have those conversations, but you do. And so that's something I really respect about you.
Yeah, no, thank you. And it means a lot to people that you take the time and you talk to them. And it's a weakness. I mean, not a weakness, but it's like when I go to, I have to train myself, because when I go to like RV shows, like I'll be talking to our employees forever. When I go to the dealerships, I'm like, oh, I have to make sure that I'm not taking away from you. But I love talking to people and love like fully being engaged and being 100% present in that conversation, which I feel like a lot of people be like, you can tell like, oh yeah, he doesn't really want to talk to me. Like, and it's funny because I don't know, like I've gotten so, I guess like direct with people, and I'm like, look, like if you, like, I'll tell people, look, if I'm bugging, like if I'm bugging you, just tell me to leave, like, or whatever. Like, hey, you really don't have to do this. I know I asked you this, but you really don't have to if you don't want to. Like, don't feel obligated. Like, that's the last thing I want is for you to do something for me and feel obligated. I want you to do it because you want to. But really being engaged in those relationships is super important, and having like caring, right? Like people want to know that you care, especially if you're leading a team. Don't just take those phone calls and just try to get through the phone calls. Like actually care, like see what their need is, if their wants and needs or whatever they need, or whatever they're asking for. Really care about that, because if you're building a large network marketing team, a lot of stuff's happened. I mean, like you're dealing with thousands of people or hundreds of people or just a dozen people. You're starting to manage a very large team. Things happen. Everybody's looking to you to fix their problems. So you really have to learn how to, cultivate those relationships and stick to those relationships and care about those people and figure out a solution for them. And if you do that, I mean, you keep building up your people, you keep training your people, you're going to build a way better team.
Yeah. As the saying goes, right. They don't care. Nobody cares about how much you know. They know that how's the saying go? They don't care about how much you know. They only care about. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember exactly how it goes.
I can't remember either.
It's, yeah, whatever. It's something like that.
Right.
But people only care once they know that you care.
Right.
They don't care about how much you know. They just want to know that you actually care about them.
Right.
So, hey, so moving on real quick. So there's this book called Outliers, right? I don't know if you've ever read that book. And so we're going to move into more of the RV conversation now. And then I guess my question is in the Outliers book, it talks about how you have to have 10,000 hours of mastery, right? And you have to have the right time. Like some people say that they're self-made, but I think they kind of prove a little bit in that book that that's really not 100% true. There's always kind of a recipe to that. Like some of the recipe for you might have been, like we're just talking about with your upbringing and being around the right environment, the right mentors and stuff like that. But so you have the 10,000 hours of mastery, you have the right time of the industry, like Bill Gates, he had the right timing because the computer industry took off right when he was kind of graduating, like high school, college, whatever, but he had his 10,000 hours of mastery but he had a mentor to help guide him along his journey as well.
Right.
Do you feel like right now, like when you went from network marketing to 60 million in sales to 100 million to 111 million, like walk me through, did you have the mastery already put into the RV space? How did you even get into the RV space? Because, I'm assuming you didn't just go from 0 to 60 million. Like you had to have some sort of, I guess, skill set and understanding of the industry before you just launched it.
Right. So, I mean, about it, all I knew about the industry was we had a trailer and a motorhome growing up. And we just jumped into so in 2018, I was kind of going through some things and ended up kind of helping my buddy out with a construction company. And I was going to do that full time. And at the end of 2018, I got a phone call from, or no, 2017. Sorry, this is all 2017. And at the end of 2017, I got a phone call from my dad, actually, that said, "Hey, there's a dealership in Salt Lake for sale. Would you want it?" And I'm like, I don't know, not quite sure if I'd want it. So let's look into it. And so my dad's like, "Hey, I'd love to kind of work together." And I'm like, I don't really want to, because I don't want to be in your shadow. Like I always wanted to be Jason Haugen. I did not want to be Randy Haugen's son. No disrespect to my dad, but I wanted to make my own name. I didn't want people to think that my dad gave me everything and this and that. I my only reason I'm successful is because of my dad. I wanted to go prove to people that I am my own person. Nothing and nothing to take away from my dad. I love that dude to death. But now I always like, hey, like you own 30 different big businesses. Like a lot of one of the big restaurants that they owned a ton of was Costa Vida, and they owned actually a lot of the, some of the corporate of Costa Vida here in Utah. And I think they're growing. And so like I knew he knew a lot about business. I mean, he built hundreds and hundreds. He had a home building company, a mortgage business, a real estate brokerage, a construction company, an excavation company, a bunch of restaurants, Costa Vida's, a bunch of restaurants, and Johnny Carino's, all kinds of stuff. Like we can name, keep going and going and going. Real estate, big developer in real estate, huge, massive, in the hundreds of millions of dollars in real estate. And so I always wanted to learn from him, but I didn't really know how to do that because I didn't really have a physical, like a business like that I could really learn from him. And so a lot of the stuff was kind of just on my own, just kind of navigating it. And a lot of the stuff I learned through network marketing, dealing with people. And for some reason, I feel like it's just a gift that I have with business. But going back to the dealerships, my dad and I kind of, like, he's an investor. I was like, hey, I think this would be a lot of fun. I'll run it. And, I'll be, it'll be my kind of my thing. And he's like, okay. So started with the first dealership in Salt Lake City in January 18th, 2018. And that was doing about 12 million in sales that year. We did about 12 million in sales that year. In 2018. In 2019, we did like 13 million in sales. In 2020, we did about 65 million in sales, I think. But we had acquired 2 other stores, but we grew those stores from 20 million to over 50 million, and over 50 million. So from 20 million to 50 million in 1 year. And the other stores grew. And then in 2021, we bought 5 more stores. And then in 22, we didn't really do, and I guess with those stores in 21, we did 103 million in sales. But most of those stores came at the end of the year in the transaction. Then last year, the market stabilized a little bit, and we did 111 million in sales. And this year we'll go north of, way over 100, projecting, way over that. So then we're opening up a new store right now. But it was just, I forced myself to learn, and I became obsessed with the RV industry. And I don't have an ego. Like, I'm the first person to walk in a Target, and I'm going straight to a red polo shirt, asking them exactly where I need to walk to, what aisle, what thing. Hey, just show me. And, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm not trying to prove anything. I don't want to waste my time, and show me where it is. And so that's what I did in the RV industry. Is I went to all the conferences, I went to all the shows, went everywhere, trying to surround myself with people that knew more than I did, and learn everything I possibly could about the RV industry. And I also surrounded myself with a team that they knew more about the RV industry than me. Like, I still don't know everything, but I am surrounded by one of the best teams in the country, and one of the best boards, literally the best board in the country. There's no other board in the RV industry that could beat mine. And I got the Mount Rushmore of a board. I mean, they are literally the staple and the backbone of the industry on my board. And so I just went and surrounded myself with those people. I'm very self-aware, which I think is very important, and a lot of people are not, is how good at things I am, and how, if I'm good at it or bad at it, I surround myself with people that are really good at the things I'm really bad at. I don't necessarily focus all my time, into the things that I'm really bad at. I kind of take that, if it's, something with the finance, I mean, I'm really good at the finances, but like, if there's something, in that I am not good at, I'll usually hire it out or get someone to do it. And then if I want to learn it, I'll learn it on my own time. But creating that team, and that's where I really learned a lot of this culture stuff, is creating that team with the right butts in the right seats. Like, Good to Great, it's a great book. But creating, just a thing that just moves. I mean, it's literally like a music. I mean, we're an amazing team and an amazing company doing awesome things, but it's really because of everybody else. I mean, it's not just all Jason, which I love. Like we can talk a million hours about a superstar based business versus a system based business, but I want to create that really, McDonald's like system where it just runs and people are seeing success in it.
No, I love that. So tell me, because there's going to be a lot of business owners who watch this and they might be thinking, okay, that's great, but how did you recruit? Because that's what you did. You had to recruit these talented, people to come work for you.
Right.
How did you recruit them? Where'd you find them?
My culture, honestly. So when we first started the dealership, I'm going to say we kind of lucked into it because we didn't know what we had. We had a great team in that first dealership. Maybe their leadership from the main guy wasn't the greatest, but he's still, we still actually kept that guy. I mean, he still did well from us. But his son was another owner, and his son is my COO. I mean, he's just the best human being in the world. I would never do what I'm doing without him. I mean, 95% of the business flows through this individual, and he's just the most amazing person in the world. His name's Matt, and he's phenomenal. But what I did is started focusing on culture and started focusing on how we operate and how we pay people and the benefits and like everything around creating that team and that culture, and our book programs and our leadership programs and our manager and training programs and self-development side to everything, and really built this really robust system. And people started to hear how we operated. I mean, manufacturers want to do business with us because of how we do business and how we operate with our team members inside. And how we operate with them. And then being connected, right? Being connected in the industry and going to those events and networking and actually meeting people and having real relationships with them and real conversations with them and getting to know them and then getting to know me. When I need something, I make a couple phone calls like, hey, I need this type of manager. I need this type of, employee or whatever. I can make those phone calls, and usually I'll get flooded back with people, people just fly in and then see what fits the right. But it's really our culture. I mean, still to this day, we get phone calls from people that really want to work for us, and even dealerships that want to sell to us because they know how our culture is. They want to be a part of it.
Yeah, I love this. There's so much value here. So I'm going to kind of do a couple different things here. One, I'm going to go backwards because I remembered what the saying was. People don't care about how much you know until they know about how much you care.
Right.
So get that off the table there. All right. So, but you were talking about how, you didn't know a lot. So you started going to events, you started networking, you started finding the people who had the results that you wanted, and you started doing what they were doing, or listening to them. And they were trying to tell you maybe some landmines not to step on your journey to win inside of the space. So that's going to decrease the timeline to where help you get there faster. And I think there's so much value in that, because it doesn't matter if you're in the RV space. It doesn't matter if you're in the if it's marriage, right? You can go to a person who's winning big in their marriage and say, hey, dude, what are you doing? Because I need to be doing what you're doing.
Right.
Like one of those guys for me that I follow a lot is Rob Dyrdek, because that guy is like, he's got system after system after system to help his marriage. How about, business and network marketing even, like people go to the events, but sometimes they don't understand the value of really the events that they're at, when they could be grabbing leaders off the side. That's what I did. Like I grabbed all the top leaders, sidelines. I didn't care. I said, how are you onboarding? How are you launching? How are you, what's the culture that you're creating within your organization? What's the system that you guys have? And I would ask all these questions, and I would go and do small little beta testing with open line groups. And then we would, if it worked, we would launch it. Right.
Right.
So how are you with your organization? Because you say you were able to recruit them, which is great. A lot of people in every industry, they can recruit people, but if they have the wrong relationships, or if they're not connecting with people, or if they have too big of an ego, or if they lose trust with somebody, they lose that person. So what is the culture from top to bottom that you've been able to create to not just get them, but to be able to keep them?
It's that's such a good question. That's really where I put a lot of my focus and my energy in a lot of different companies, and in ours as well, is creating that culture where it's not everybody gets a trophy culture. Like people get so confused of like a good culture is everybody gets a trophy. You have to keep everybody, my business is very different than kind of a little bit different than network marketing. I can't necessarily fire someone in network marketing, but you can do other ways to kind of get them out if it's being, if it's being bad to your team or your culture. But, you know, in my culture, I can let people go, you know, I can do different things and move them around, but I treat it like a coach. You know, I'm their coach. I have to put the playbook together. I have to put the play, you know, I have to call out the plays, and we have to operate like a team. And creating that culture that's a winning culture where we set the expectations. Everybody knows what's going on. We have a mission statement. We have our values. Everybody has a culture card in their pocket at all times, in their wallet, wherever they want to keep it on their phone. But they have to have a culture card, which is a little plastic card with all of my values on it, my mission statement, because of why we come to work, you know, why we're here, why we do what we do, and the values that we care about. And every time that we get together, the two or more people, we're required to call, you know, to card check each other. We got our card, put it away. You know, I repeat the mission statement to you by memory. You repeat it to me by memory, values by memory, and then values back to me by memory. So we're always talking and managing through the culture. And then we share stories about the values and how they're affecting us. You know, one of them is being a family, how we acted like a family, trust, how we trusted each other, giving back or work together, or financial success. And so we talk about that culture, and we create the expectations within the culture. We have management programs, we have leadership programs, we have book programs, or, you know, book reading that we do in that. And so it's kind of it's a beginning stages of what I'm founding called the Haugen University. And so, you know, we also have with the Haugen University, there will be a technician school, which I'm the only accredited tech school in the country outside of the RVTI. At least that I know of, at least founding a school. And then, you know, we have the leadership side to it, but it's creating that team with the expectations and managing through the culture and managing through the expectations and what their goals are, what the objectives are, and checking each other and how we deal with each other. Like I break it down with software. I got software that breaks down their personalities, which, you know, it's not just a quick little thing. It's a 30-page report about everything about you. And then I have a software that's a 30-page report about all your management styles or how you manage people. And so we start putting those pieces together and building that team. You know, I definitely feel like I'm an executive at a sports team where I'm trying to create a championship team, and I got to get the right guys or girls together and create that championship team, that winning team, that winning culture. Where, you know, it's not that everybody gets a trophy, but we're also not the biggest jerks in the world. You know, we care about people, we love people, but we don't tolerate, you know, being subpar. We set ourselves a standard. When you have a bad person in your culture, it's just like going to, we would never go to the hospital and roll up there super healthy and go to the front counter and say, hey, like, I was just wondering where can I go get some cancer? I would really like to just inject like a little bit of cancer, just one cancer cell. Hopefully it doesn't multiply. Just one cancer cell. I would just really, really love cancer. We would never do that to our bodies. So why would we do that to our teams or our business? And so when you have those people that are not necessarily the best for your culture fitting in there, you owe it to the team to get them out of there. And to, even if they're really high performers, I talk with executives all the time. Even if they're really high performers, what you're telling the other team is you care more about the money than you care about the people. And then those people, you're going to lose more in production and in their belief with them looking at you do that than you will if you just get rid of the high performer.
Man, I love, you know, everything you're talking about. It's like, we'd probably work really, really well together. You know, it's like one negative seed of doubt, they're out. You know, it's like you got to cut the head off the dragon when it's a baby, before it grows up and blows fire all over everybody, killing everybody in the business. Because you're right. You know, one negative seed of doubt, people love negativity spreads 6 times faster than positivity. So if they're negative, they want to get over here. Misery loves company. They want to start gossiping, and then it creates a gossip culture if you allow it. And in leadership, you get what you allow. Right. And so, you know, in your culture, you're not allowing these negative seeds of doubt to be planted. You're not allowing this gossip culture on the side to start happening. And so I love that, man. I mean, you know, it's like time either promotes people or exposes people. Like I said before, you know, if you're in a relationship, you can get the girl or the guy, whatever. And if they can't, eventually they're going to see who they really are over time. And so that's why a lot of people can't keep them. And so the one thing I love about you is that, and the culture that you're breeding in your organization, is in order to really retain the people that you recruit, you have to be the person that you say you are. You have to be the person that's willing to show up and help them every single day and get in the trenches and hold true to the culture that you're the standard that you're setting in the organization instead of getting the leadership mentality that some of these leaders get, which is do as I say, not as I do. But you're in the trenches actually following the guidelines that you're putting out there. So that's awesome, man.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you. It's all about leading from the front. I mean, you have to lead by example. Now, am I going to go work on a trailer? Probably not. Would I? Totally. And everybody knows that I would. Now, is that best for the customer? Probably not. Like, no, I'm pretty handy. I could get through it. But, you know, we set those expectations and everybody knows me. I mean, everybody knows my personality. I mean, I have reports on me. I mean, I have reports on, we just want to create that team that everybody knows the standard. Everybody knows the expectations. So there's no guesswork, you know, like I feel like that's a lot in a lot of different businesses out there. There's a lot of guess, like, where do I stand, or what's this supposed to be, or that. And it's really like taking a stand and taking like in your heart, taking it from your head. My mom used to say, take it from your head to your heart about caring people and creating that team that means, you know, so much to people, where they want to come to work, where they want to be a high performer to you. And it'll take your business to the next level. I know I live through it every single day. There's nothing that I talk about and teach or coach that I don't do every single day. I mean, I got 180 employees, or around 180 employees, which, you know, we do 100 million in business, over 100 million in business. I got lots of vendors and relationships and people. I know how to deal with people and do these things. Like, there's nothing's a theory. Now, I'm not going to say I know everything. You know, maybe I don't want to know everything. But I know a lot. I mean, and it works. And so if people are out there trying to figure out how to get to the next level or a breakthrough, or, you know, maybe they've only recruited so many people or a few people and they just feel like they can't break the mold, you know, change it, you know, and remember, if it is to be, it's up to me. Remember, if it's 100% up to you, your leaders, your people, your team, the system, the books, that can only do so much. At the end of the day, you have to take massive action to choose and make it a choice in your life to be the best and to learn all that you can. At the end of the day, like, I was talking with Flex Lewis the other day, good buddy. And he's like, I love bodybuilding because everybody can do everything for you besides lift. They can't build the muscle for you. They can't do cardio for you. They can't burn the fat for you. And so it's pretty much it's kind of more of a selfish sport. But then, you know, like you saying earlier, like, people aren't self-made. I mean, you have a complete team around you. Even in the bodybuilding world, like, I've done competition. You know, even in that world, I had coaches for many different things. And Flex does too. And he was like, yeah, I love it. Like, it teaches you hard work and a work ethic, like, that's next level. When you force yourself to learn and you don't give yourself an out, like, don't take the easy way out. You know, especially with dealing with people, figure out how to solve the problem and get through it.
100%, man. 100%. I love that. I'm going to kind of fire off a few different questions at you that I want to know.
Okay.
So what is Jason doing right now with the economy going crazy? What are you looking at for, one, business? Are you focused on expanding? Are you focused on kind of not leveraging out as much? And two, what are you doing for your personal investments? Talk about that.
So business-wise, you know, this is going to be a little bit dicey year. You know, I think that the Fed's going to end up. I was reading a report the other day that I think the Fed's going to end up keep raising the rate through the summer. And the end of summer, that might hit our ceiling. We don't really know, but it affects me. I mean, right now, I'm not really super interested in growing massively. I mean, we kind of unexpectedly are having this 9th location pop up. But I'm never going to say no to a really, really good deal, but it has to be a really, really, really good deal. I'm more focused right now on creating a better foundation. I mean, now we have the $100 and whatever million in sales. Now how can we make that the most profitable and the best $100 million in sales? Right. And so, I could go out there and keep growing and go to 200, 300, 400, 500 million in sales, but I would rather be, profitable at 100 million in sales instead of making the same amount of 200 million in sales, because that's just a lot more work. And so we're coming out with some really cool things and focusing on that. And then I'm also taking my podcast, my culture coaching to the next level through that, because I feel like with a lot of these harder times is when we really got to create that foundation people, because oftentimes when the economy is one thing, maybe in a strong economy, or maybe we're falling or in a recession, whatever it ends up happening. If you create that, it's all up here. If you, we always say margins, mindset, money's a mindset. And if you help people, they're strong up in their mind, that you'll be able to weather the storm. It's when you have weak people that don't really know, or if you haven't trained them properly or mentally trained them properly, is when things start to go, all over the place. And so we're creating that foundation and processes and things with that. Personally, like I said, with the podcast and stuff, that's really, really what I love to do. I love talking with business owners, entrepreneurs, athletes, and being able to public speak more, and just have a great summer.
Awesome, man. I love that, because what you're doing is you're helping people. Everything's mindset. It's all mentality of what you bring to the table through any scenario, right? Like, there's going to be some people who become massively wealthy during this pullback, during this, whatever you want to call it, great reset.
Right.
And then there's going to be people who they sit inside their shell, they try to wait it out, and they're going to get destroyed. And so guys like you could be, which is what you're doing, by putting information out there, is helping people. That's why you guys need to go watch his podcast, subscribe to it, get on his Instagram, get on his Facebook, anything he's putting out, go watch it, because he's going to help you weather, and not just weather the storm, but he's going to help you accelerate and elevate your life through the storm. And so, that's coming, because there's a big storm coming, and we've been talking about it for a couple of years now. And so, that's what I love, because a lot of people, they just get fear, uncertainty, and doubt, man. And they just sit there and they just try to, they think that they can just sit in their shell, and it's just not reality.
Right. No, that's so true. And I was actually golfing. It was Super Bowl weekend, whenever that was, in Scottsdale. I own a company that we sponsor a bunch of stuff with the Super Bowl. We did a celebrity golf tournament. I was with my good buddy John Madsen and Paul Kruger, and one of my partners, Ryan Flint. We were on just a foursome golfing, and me and John were talking about just what's going on and different things. And he was like, "You know what, Jason? There's a big difference playing the game not to lose and playing the game to win." And he looked at me and said, "Are you playing the game to not lose? Or are you playing the game to win?" And I think that that's such a important thing to remember, especially in times like this, of, are we playing to lose, or are we playing to not, or are we playing to not lose, or are we playing to win? And I think in times like this, it's the guys that are like very surgical-like, and you can say it's like a special ops team, that they go play to win. And how they play to win is going to be very important, and not just sitting here, hiding underneath the table, hoping that the storm subsides one day and then you survive it. It's go be on the offense. Like you said, like, people are going to make a lot of money right now. I mean, I already have friends who just like closing hundreds of millions in real estate in the last little bit because of some things that have gone into foreclosure. And I'm like, wow, like already, like, this is crazy. And so people are it's going to be a wild ride in this next little while, but then look at it, okay, it's going to be a wild ride, or maybe it's going to be tough. Okay, how can I make it not tough? How can I play to win? What can I do to be on the offense? And don't be dumb. Like, no, stay within your limitations, but how can I play to win every single day, and not just play to not lose?
100%, man. I love it. As the saying goes, best defense is a better offense, right?
For sure. Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
So two more questions. Because I know it's, I wanted to keep this in between an hour and a half. So 19 years old, you're 19 years old right now. What would you do to accelerate your growth, going from, like, knowing the things that you know right now? If you could go back to 19 years old, or maybe, you're talking to somebody who's 19, 20, 21 years old right now, just getting out of high school or college, or just about to hit the workforce. Maybe they're about to start their entrepreneur career. What would you do, knowing what you know now, to really accelerate their journey to win in life? Not just money, not just business, but just in general.
Oh man, that's a great question. I would definitely listen to more podcasts. I would go to more events. I would get a mentor. I would learn everything that I can about what I'm doing, and wake up every single day, win the day, and play to win in every situation. With that, focus on relationships and focus on people and how to serve and how to help. And then, and then do it. A lot of people have this kind of mentality, especially nowadays with Instagram and YouTube, and even a lot of podcasts, is they feel like, I'll just keep listening and one thing, something will pop. It's like, I always kind of joke with our dealerships, like we call when a customer comes in, it's an up, a up. And I'm like, the up bus isn't just going to roll up to the dealership with 50 people. Like, we have to go create that. And so I would really encourage a young person, or really anybody, but especially a young person, to go create the massive action, but massive action in the right way. And if you don't know what that right way is, get a mentor in the industry that you're in, which is a beautiful thing about network marketing is you have a plethora of mentors. But take massive action. Nothing in life is going to just hit you in the face. Heck, even the lottery, you have to keep going and buying lottery tickets. You have to go buy lottery tickets. You have to take action somehow. It's not just going to come to you. Even if I totally believe in, the secret and the power of the mind and putting it out there. Like, I can tell you a million different examples of me saying something or putting it out there. And then, either shortly after or years later, it happened. And me, in putting that in my subconscious mind. But you have to take massive action towards it. And I really, really encourage people to do that. And if you, like I said, if you don't know what that is, get a mentor or figure out what that would be. And just always remember the saying, if it is to be, it's up to me, and you have to make it happen. No one can do it for you.
I love it, man. Yeah. I mean, proximity is king, right? And, some of these guys or girls that are watching this might say, that's great. It sounds awesome, but how do I get a mentor? Like, for me, I found mentors on YouTube. I found mentors on podcasts, like you're saying. It's just not getting into analysis paralysis and not doing anything, right? That's the problem with most. That's why I launched this podcast, by the way. Like, I have like everybody said, hey, you have to have the perfect microphone. You have to have the perfect, camera. You have to have the perfect background, or you have to, like, I had a friend who told me, said, don't get started, man, until you do this. And I'm like, I'm just going to get started. Like, and you and I talked about that, and you actually encouraged me just to, hey, just get started.
Right.
I mean, I went out, I got a microphone, but the point is like, I'm leaving on Friday to go to a funeral, and I'm not going to have a background. I'm going to be probably sitting at a Starbucks, because I don't care about the quality of my background. I care about getting value out to people's hands. And so, I'm interviewing Rob Sperry on Friday, and, we were supposed to do it, but I had a funeral. And so I said, dude, let's just do it. Like, I'm not going to overcomplicate this. Not going to get into analysis paralysis. We're just going to move. And so, can you do it? He said, yeah. I said, all right, let's just do it.
Yeah. I mean, that's so important, because so many people out there think they need to know everything before they get started. And it's literally impossible. Like, you will never know everything before you get started, and you will never know everything 30 years down the road. So just start and don't stop. And like you said, don't get paralysis by analysis, and where you don't even know which direction to go. And if that is your personality, that's okay. Like, this is what I work with all the time, is we learn how to manage through that. We learn how to focus through that, and sometimes get you help. If you're trying to lead a team or things, like, you have to rely on other people to be able to help you do certain things. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. But it's just being self-aware of what your strengths and weaknesses are. Yeah.
Grant Cardone taught me, that through YouTube, not that he was like my personal mentor at the time, but he said that in order to find mentors, you either pay for it, you produce for it, or you serve for it. And so I've paid for mentors. I produced for mentors inside the network marketing space, because I knew that I didn't just deserve their time. I needed to actually get out there and truly deserve it. Right. There's no expectations there.
Right.
And I've served for it. And, now, which is really cool, Jason, is the really cool thing about doing a podcast is, like, you hit people up and the majority of people are willing to do it. And so, like, I get free mentorship literally right now. I'm hitting up some like top, like so many top people that charge $5, $10, $15, $20, $50,000 an hour for mentorship. And I just say, hey, I got a podcast. So if you guys want free mentorship, go start a podcast.
Right. Oh, that's a beautiful thing, right? I'm in this studio right here. I had some of the top guys, that I know just come right here to my studio. And I'm like, it's just crazy. I mean, you get to talk to them for an hour about their lives, about how they started, about the things that have made them successful. And, I love it, because I'm a little bit, I could say selfish with it, because it's a lot of it's for me, and, and surrounding myself with these types of people and learning. But yeah, I mean, podcasts are a beautiful thing. And then there's so many different podcasts out there, and people need to know that people are willing to help. I would say generally, there are a lot of people out there that just really don't want to help and they really don't care, you know, and I'm not saying people are busy because people are always busy, but like generally like a lot of people that I've met, especially doing this podcast, have, you know, really, really like wanted to help people. And so, you know, talking to my mentors is there's people out there that are out there that would like to serve and help people. And maybe they've made it, maybe they've done this or done that. And now they're trying to help other people. So don't let this mental block, this thing, you know, it can heal you and kill you. This mind is so powerful. Get you in the point where you feel like you can't go talk to somebody, you can't have, you know, that meant like he wouldn't want to help me, just, or she wouldn't want to help me. Just go take the shot. I mean, like when I have asked some, like I went up to a guy yesterday at a basketball game and he is very, very, very famous. And I just started talking to him. I'm like, man, I don't want to be weird, but like I've never done this before, but I started talking to him. He's like, yeah, man, I'd love to be on your podcast. Let's connect. And I'm like, oh, cool. Okay. Sounds good. So we connected. I mean, it's just, you know, just go out there and start and have fun doing it. I mean, it's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple last questions. Who are your mentors?
My mentor, one of my biggest mentors is my dad. You know, I got another mentor, Randy Garn, in real estate. I got a big mentor. My partner is Ryan Flint. And you know, I got people in my corner of like David Meltzer. I got people in my corner like Alex Hermosi. You know, we all just kind of help each other, but Randy and my dad, well, I guess they're both names Randy. It's kind of funny, but Randy Garn, my dad, Randy Haugen, and then, in real estate, Ryan Flint's been big mentors.
That's awesome. So I guess last question would be on that part of it. If you were to go to YouTube though, who would you look up? Like who would you look up to go and you're like, man, I want to get some mentorship today and just personal development?
I love Ed Milet's stuff. You know, I've got to meet him quite a few times and just a great guy. I don't know, because I use people for different things, you know. Grant's really great in real estate. You know, Ed's really good in like that personal, like that personal development as far as like, you know, mentally getting through things and different things like that. So I think those would probably be my go-to. Andy's also a good dude. Andy Frisella, you know, I've got to meet him quite a few times and create a relationship with him. Love his stuff. But I use different people for different things to fill me up, you know, leave it to their superpower to fill up what I'm trying to find. And so, yeah, I get a lot of different stuff from a lot of different people.
Well, I get it. You know, Tony Robbins is different than Ed Milet, who's different than Jim Rohn, who's different. I mean, I get it. So I do the same thing.
Right.
Okay. So how do people find you, man? Like, what's your YouTube? What's the podcast? What's your Instagram? All that.
So the best way to find me is on, I would say Instagram. Just Jason Haugen. It's Haugen. You know, you can DM me there. I pretty much answer all my DMs, or I will answer every DM that's in there. And my podcast is called Culture Camp. It's on Spotify, it's on iTunes, and I'm pretty sure everywhere that you can get your podcasts. And yeah, I mean, connect with me. You know, listen to the podcast. I got some great people on there. You know, my social media is all about, you know, me and my life and who I am and the businesses and a lot of my podcasts, a lot of speaking and different things like that. And, you know, my goal is just to help people. So, you know, I'd love to connect with you there.
Awesome, brother. Well, thank you so much for your time. You know, I know that your time is very valuable. You got business, you got your kids, you got your wife. So like, thank you for your time today, man. And pouring into everybody. And so I'm looking forward to hanging out with you. I mean, we're probably right down the road. Where do you live? You don't need to say it live, but are you like up north Utah or down south?
I'm north, like Davis County area.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm a little south. I'm out down in Lehigh area.
Nice.
Cool, man. Well, dude, thanks for being on. And I'm looking forward to the value that you just brought to everybody and really getting the message out there to help a lot of people win in their life in every area of their life. So I appreciate you, man, more than you know.
No, thank you, man. I'm a complete honor and thank you for doing this. I mean, that we need more people like you and teaching this winning culture and winning life in all areas of life. I love it. I totally love the mission that you're on. And, you know, thank you for even thinking of me. It means a lot. And, you know, I love that we're connected and connecting. So, you know, I'm always here for you.
All right, brother. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and end it real quick.